Hey guys, it's May and welcome back to another video for Father's Day. Can you guys see this? I hope you can. This is a glass jar that I had in my pantry. I tend to purchase glass jars when I see them that are unusual or different because I just love glass jars. I don't know, glass plates, bowls, jars, I have too many of them. But this one I love and I haven't done anything with it, and I thought what a great way to package Vinnie's Vittles for Father's Day. And I'm going to show you a cool little way to do this. Now, you don't have to have a jar that looks just like this. You can have a round jar. It doesn't matter. What we're going to do is pretty much focus on this center piece anyway. So any kind of jar is going to work. I'm just going to use this one today. So the inside of this jar is clean. The outside is going to have my fingerprints all over it, so it'll have to be clean when we finish. But for now, the inside is ready to go for the snacks. I'm going to move this out of the way for a minute when we talk about what we're going to use. Now, if you're not new to my channel, you know that I am in love with the Springs Creative products. I think they're wonderful, and I have been using their laminated burlap for a very long time, and recently they sent me these products to try out. When I was thinking about how I wanted to do this, I had an idea for these pennants, and what's cool about these is they already have the adhesive on the back, which I think is awesome and makes the project go so much faster. But I want to clarify by saying this. Everything I'm going to use today, you can use paper and do the same thing. So if you don't have this product at home, just pull your paper out. But if you're interested in this product, they sell it at Walmart. They have it on the shelves at my tiny little local Walmart, so I'm sure they have it in other Walmarts. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to use one of these pennants and this chevron. Okay, so I have a pennant, and what I'm going to show you is how I'm going to turn this into a necktie. I know you guys are probably tired of necktie stuff, but in my house, it's just the thing. My dad is a pastor. He wears a suit every Sunday. My stepdad is a pastor. He wears a suit every Sunday. How about both of those? My husband is a music minister. He wears a suit every Sunday. My father-in-law wears a suit every Sunday to church. It's just, suits are our thing. So that's what I'm going to work on. I was trying to think how I could do it where everybody got something for them, and I think this is the thing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take this pennant, and I'm going to use my cutting mat here for this, and I'm just going to line this up on one line of my cutting mat down here. Okay, and I'm going to find the center. Now, all you have to do to find the center is count your squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you know between the 5th and 6th square is the center. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little mark there just so I can see it. You probably won't see it, but I can see it. Now on the side, I'm going to move up 2 inches on my mat, and where that mark is, I'm just going to place another mark that I can see. Okay, and then same thing on the other side, 2 inches up and place a mark. I was just like, you know what, that pennant will make a necktie. We just got to do some adjusting. So here's what you'll do next. Take your scissors. Now you don't have to use these long Tim Holtz scissors. You can use just your regular scissors like this, but what you want to make sure of is that your blade will reach all the way across to your other mark. Okay, that'll be important. I'm going to use these because I like to cut things with adhesive with these scissors because they have a coating that's a non-stick coating. So I'm going to go right here to this center mark that I have, and I'm going to line my blade up with my other mark and just cut to that mark. Now don't panic, because if you think I'm not going to get a straight line, you can also follow the fabric, which will help. And if you're doing paper, it won't be nearly as hard because it's not going to move on you. So now I'm just going to cut to the center. Check it out. We got a necktie. Isn't that cute? Okay, for the topper, super easy. We're going to use one of these pieces. See how this side is slightly less angled than this side? I am going to just take this angle down about the same distance, and I just eyeballed it. Okay, you do not have to be perfect. See how that's just a triangle? And then just save this for something else. Now, I want to show you what I did. I'm going to move this one away, and I want to show you something. I took one earlier practicing. Do you see this one? This one I made with the chevron stripes, and I'm going to show you how I did that. And this is going to be the topper for it, so it's going to go up here so you have a cute little chevron. Okay, now I took this same piece, and these are also self-adhesive on the back, so all I did was lay it down where I wanted to start. I kind of liked this area, and I peeled the adhesive off and stuck it down. Then, let me show you, I flipped it over and I trimmed it off from the back because that gives me a good mark for trimming. Okay, then I just took the other piece that came, you know, once I cut it away, and I just lined them up all the way up and down and just stuck them down. I ended up using 2 full pieces of the chevron tape I call it chevron tape. I don't know what else to call it. I used 2 full pieces and a little bit, like about a half, maybe a half. Yeah, about a half of another piece, okay? And so and if you line it up better than I did, because I didn't start probably like I should have. I kind of just started in the center, which was probably pretty wasteful. But if you line it up well, you probably can use less. So just so you know, it takes about 2.5 pieces of the chevron piece and then 1 pennant. All right, so there's one version of the tie. But now I want to show you another version in case you don't have the chevron stuff. Something fun you can do with this burlap. So I have here some Stays On ink. Are you surprised? I think if Stays On doesn't show up in every video, it's a shocker, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to use a wood mount stamp. And I've already done a chevron for you, so I'm going to do this swirly one. Here's the trick you want to come up with. You need your stamp to be wide enough to be able to stamp once and then move it up, or be wide enough to stamp this way. Mine is not quite wide enough to go this way, so we're going to work our way up this way. I'm going to use some Stays On. Now here's the trick for stamping on burlap. It's not really a trick, it's just something you need to know. You're not going to get a perfect crisp image. The weave in the burlap is not going to allow for that, because what it's going to do, it doesn't lay flat, so you're going to get a textured stamp. Just make sure you ink up your stamp very well. And I like to use my woodblock stamps for this because I can get really good pressure on these. I think I can. Alright, so I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm going to press. Also, let it sit for a minute. It doesn't hurt for that ink to soak into the fiber. You don't have to be in a hurry. Now I'll pull this away. And see, we got a nice pattern, can you see it, on our tie. Now I'm just going to move this up. It's not going to matter if it's lined up perfectly. If you want to use a stamp positioner, you can. See how it doesn't really matter? It just kind of works. And I'm going to keep going. Tell you what, I've only got to stamp the back, but I also need to stamp this. So I'm going to lay them together and do it all at one time. And then it looks like I need a little bit at the top, so I'm just going to hit it with this real quick. There we go. Okay, so I'm through with the stamping. And now I can move these out of the way. Do you see how I did not put paper down and I should have? I'm just going to put some alcohol on my mat and wipe that away real quick. No big deal. I don't want to let it sit for very long, but if you got some alcohol that you can use, and I keep a rag handy so I can do that, because I tend to make a big mess. Okay, so you see how this jar has this lip here where my finger goes? I don't know if you can see it as well, but there's a lip right there, and I want to run a piece of burlap around it as if the tie wrapped around it. So here's what I've done. I've taken a sheet of the laminated burlap. Now normally it's 8.5 by 11, but this is a sheet I've been using, so I'm going to cut using this piece of burlap and just trim down a strip. Now I'm going to need 2 strips because one won't quite make it all the way around. So there's one. See that? And now let's make one more. If you're using a rotary cutter, it works really well with this product. See how easy that was? So I have 2 strips of that. I'll bring these strips back in. So there's that. And what you want to do is make sure that it's going to fit the top of your jar. I had to trim them down just a little bit because I had them too big, but see how that will fit right in that lip of that jar, and that's going to look really nice. Okay, now this is not pre-adhesive, so I'm going to hot glue this to the jar. So make sure you choose which side of the jar is the back. There's a little dimple in this glass. I'm going to let that be the back. So I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue right here. And remember how I told you I'm going to have to use 2 pieces of this? I'm going to put 1 piece here on one side of that hot glue and the other piece here, so that they'll kind of be seamless back here. They won't be perfect, but that's not bad. Then I'm going to flip it over, and now I can just add glue, and I'm just going to put it onto the burlap itself and just bring it up. And fortunately, like I said, there's a lip, so it fits in that lip perfectly. I'm not going to stick it here yet because I've got to see where I'm going to end up here. So now I'm just going to put some adhesive on this side. Bring this guy up. Make it snug. And I'm just going to trim these close. For me, this was easier because I didn't have to measure anything. If you don't want any waste, you can measure, but I like easy. And I know I'll use those strips for something. You guys know burlap does not get wasted in my house, right? Just glue that in place. Now that's a nice, clean wrap around. See how that turned out really clean? Looks good. Okay, now it's time to work on the tie. Now I couldn't decide which one I want to use. I'm going to show you. Here's what I'm doing. I'm lining this edge here and I'm overlapping at the top. And that's okay, because remember, this is pre-adhesive for you. So it's going to be fine. And that way when we put this guy down, it will overlap and give us the look of the tie at the top. Okay, I think I'm going to use my chevron. I love this one, but let's look at the chevron. I don't know, I may change my mind. Let's look. So here's the chevron version. I really like that pop of blue. Yep, I'm going to use this one. Okay, so I'm going to put this one aside, but you could use either one. And remember, if you have paper, just use paper. Alright, so all we have to do here is peel this backing off the back. And the full thing has adhesive on it already. That's what I love. And I'm going to start at the bottom, lining it up. That way I know I clear the bottom. And I want to try to be straight. The other thing, you want to make sure that your glass is dust free because you are putting adhesive on it. If you are scared that this adhesive is not going to stick, feel free to use some hot glue. I did not use hot glue for this chevron onto this. It sticks really well. Now I am going to put a little bit of hot glue behind this because it's going to have to go over a fold and I really want it to stay down. So I'm going to do that and I'm going to press it down into that fold and then press it down. Just so it'll keep that bend. It's coming together quick, isn't it? Okay, and now I'm going to snip this edge off that I don't need. Tuck that under. And now then, I'm going to add this guy. And remember, there's adhesive back here too. So I'm going to peel this off and I'm going to take advantage of this adhesive and I'm going to use hot glue. Because this one's got to go over a whole bunch of different shapes and things like that. So I'm going to put some hot glue up here. And a little bit here. And I'm running out, but I think I ran out just in time. So I'm going to press this down everywhere. Get that in there really good. And then press the tip down. So can you see our tie? Isn't that precious? I love how fat it is too. So when you see this in pictures, of course it's going to be standing up and it's going to have the snack mix in it. But how cute is this? Now we're going to make a little tag for it because it's for Dad. So we'll work on that together too. I got these tags from close to my heart. I just love these. These are chipboard tags and they came with my art philosophy cartridge a long time ago. So I'm going to use this and I'm going to do a little distress ink on it. This is some vintage photo and I'm going to start by inking the edges pretty heavily. Okay, and now with my ink already on here, I'm not going to push back into here. I'm just going to start on one end and just kind of knot this color back a little bit so it's not quite so white. I also like the texture this gives because, you know, it kind of mimics the burlap a little bit. Okay, I have this little stamp set that's just letters. This is, it says 31 clear stamps. It is from Inka Dinka Doo and it is, I think it's the mid-century font. So I'm going to use this and type. I'm going to type the word Dad. I'm going to stamp the word Dad on this tag. I'm just going to do it one letter at a time. I think I'll come out better that way. If you want to, you can start with your A. If you feel like you need to start with the middle, which, let me show you that. Sometimes it's safer to start, you know, in the center so you know you get where you're going. Okay, so I'm just going to do an A in the center. Like so. I like how this is kind of handwriting. Now, if your kids are giving this to your dad, it'll be super cute if you let them handwrite it. I also want this to be kind of wiggly, just as if a kid had done it. So I'm just kind of alternating the little tilts a little bit. So not perfect at all. See that? Isn't that cute? Oh, I'm closing this up, but I'm going to look for another font, because I love font stamp sets. If you don't have them, they're my favorite thing in the world is font stamp sets, because you can use them for so much. Now I'm going to look for one to put 4-dad or 2-dad or something like that up there. Look at this cool one. This is from Ink and Inkadoo as well. Got it at TJ Maxx for $1.99. I've never even opened it. This one is Big Top Poster is the font. And I want to use the big one up here. So I've got this laid out fairly neatly, not perfect. Again, I'm not stressing over that too much. For some reason, the sticky back came off of that one. I don't know if it was supposed to or not. The rest of them stayed, but anyway, it did have an F on there. So ink this up good, and then it's 4. Now the reason I like that it says 4 is because we're giving him a snack mix. So this is not for everybody else. This is only for Dad, right? Whatever. In my house, it's whoever gets to it first. Remember how I had those extra strips of burlap? I'm going to put one right down here. Stick the burlap in place. Trim off that end. Like so. And I think I'm going to put something right down here that's a little darker so you can see it good. I like this kind of brown grosgrain ribbon. I thought this would be cute kind of down here at the bottom, just as an extra little decoration. I think I'm going to pull that to the back side too. That'll look nice and clean that way instead of just cutting it straight off. My glue stick keeps popping out. I don't know why. Okay. Just lay that down, and then I'm going to cut this off from the back side. That'll be fine. Just looks a little cleaner that way, I think. And I did not adhere this tip down. I want this piece to be a little loose. See that? Okay, and then I'm going to use this at the top to make a knot. If you put the ribbons together and just do the knot all at one time, you tie kind of a loose knot. Cut this piece away. So then I can put this up on the top of the container and bring it back over. Now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to actually hot glue it to it. I think the hot glue will work well because it's clear in the back. So I'm going to put some hot glue. Well, let's see, where do I want it? I'm going to put some hot glue right here. A fairly decent amount. Then I'm going to lay this tag where I want it. Letting it hang off the edge because I think that'll be cute. And then I'm going to put a little glue on this knot and just decide where I want the knot to go. I think I'm going to put it at something like that so it's got a lot of movement to it. Alright, now clean up your glue strings, and remember you can use your heat tool if you want to. That'll be fine. And get that cleaned up. And then you can add anything you want. You can add bling. It doesn't matter. Whatever your dad likes. If he likes music or tools or whatever, you can add whatever you want. Inside of here, we're putting Vinnie's Vittles. So I will get that, and I will do some pictures for you to see what it looks like full of snack mix. And let me put the lid on. I always like to see. So check that out. Isn't that cute? I love it. I think this turned out pretty good. Remember, you can do all of this with paper. It doesn't have to be burlap, but I like the burlap because it goes with my house pretty good. So if I put this in the kitchen, this will be real cute. This will not be washable because it's paper, you know. So you'll have to clean this out by hand to make sure that that stays, you know, nice and intact. All right, guys. So I hope you guys have a great Father's Day. I sure am appreciative of my fathers, as many as I have, because I have, you know, my father and then my stepfather and then my father-in-law. So I hope you guys are very appreciative of yours. Let them know how much you love them. And have a great day. I will see you on Monday for more May May Made It. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.